I deliberately put some questions on here. I was trying to come up with, oh, here's an equation where we haven't got this letter by itself before. So I was trying to, on the quiz, push you out of your comfort zone. Oh, we have to put my favorite student, I guess, don't we? Good old Anne. Chris, how many marks is 1A worth? I'm going to do the same as I did before. Half mark for the main equation, half mark for getting the variable by itself, half mark for putting in the numbers, half mark for putting in the answer. So should you ever leave a question blank in my class? Not if you can help it. If you can even figure out what equation you would have used, I'm okay with that. It wants me to find A, so I'll use my DFIC approach. A equals question mark. They gave me VI is 0. I should have underlined the phrase at rest. D is 18. Negative 18 or positive 18? When would it be negative? If we were standing on a cliff and we ended up, I'm looking for a word that begins with the letter B. But if we end up below, negative. If we're above, positive. If we're not on a cliff, if we ended up behind, that would also be negative. Okay? T is 4. So the equation I'm going to start with is D equals AT squared over 2. Why didn't I bother writing the VIT? VI is 0. Now, if you wrote D equals VIT plus a half AT squared, I'm fine with that. You'll get the 0.5. But this is much easier to play with. Or hopefully you crossed out the VIT. Now, the other thing, Dakota, you could have written, some kids, instead of writing over 2, they put a 0.5 there. I'm fine with either. I prefer that one because it looks prettier to me. What am I trying to get by itself, Chris? How would I move the T squared over? How would I move the 2 on the bottom over? What's the 2 doing to the A? What? So if I hear you correctly, you're telling me A is going to be multiply the 2 and divide the T squared? There's a squared. Do I need to square root the A? You're right. How come? I only square root when there's a squared on the thing I'm trying to get, on the variable I'm trying to get by itself. Is there a squared on the A? So I've seen a few people put a big square root around that. That's a sloppy mistake. We don't need to get square root loopy. It's going to be 2 times 18 divided by 4 squared. What's that, Chris? You want me to try and do this in my head? It's going to be 36 over 16. Divide by 4, divide by 4. It's going to be 9 over 4. Is it 8.25? No, 2.25? 2.25? Double check me, is it? Yeah. 2.25. Final units. It's an acceleration. Units. Okay. If you got 2.25 meters per second squared, you get 2 out of 2 regardless of how many steps you showed. But let me advise you on quizzes and tests, show all your work. In my homework, I'll be honest, I can get A without writing anything down. And if you can, I'm proud of you. But on a quiz or a test, Harry, I want to show my work because in case I make a dumb calculator mistake or something, I can still get most of the marks. Otherwise, it would be half mark for that, half mark for that, half mark for the numbers, and a half mark for the answer. And it's going to be that for the rest of the quiz. V final. Are you getting pretty good at this? Are you getting the hang of this? I'm going to wimp out. I'm going to use part A to find V final. I'm going to use this. Now, I know I'm using my answer from part A, but I've done this enough now. I think most of you are at a stage now where you can have some confidence and say, you know what, I can use an answer to find an answer if it's easier. So it would be 0 plus 2.25 times 4. VF ends up being 9? Is that right? Meters per second. That gets you 2 out of 2. Did anybody use D equals bracket VI plus VF close bracket times T over 2 to find? Okay. First of all, Did you get the right answer? 2 out of 2. But if you're probably, some of you, if you got the wrong answer, you're saying, what was the correct equation? I think it would be this. What am I trying to find? VF. I think it would be 2 times D over T. Yes? Because VI was 0, and so it would just cancel. I would accept either of those. Oh, 1 whole mark for this. 1 mark for D equal, or half mark for D equals bracket VI plus. Same marking scheme as before, right? Dog accelerates from 1.5 to 8.6. Find the acceleration. A equals question mark. VI is 1.5. VF is 8.6. T equals 4.5. Did you all start out with VF equals VI plus AT? And then hopefully you said A equals VF minus VI over T, which is going to be 8.6 minus 1.5 all over 4.5. Can I do that in my head? It's going to be 7.6. No, that one's yucky. Did y'all get an acceleration of 1.5 and then the 7 repeats? Would that be 1.57? 1.5? Round off properly, yes. But I'll also store that on my calculator just in case I need that in the next step. Distance traveled. Oh, same marking scheme as before. Half mark, half mark, half mark, half mark. But if you got the right answer, 2 out of 2. Here I will use D equals bracket VI plus VF times T over 2, because that does let me use the information that they gave me. You could also use your answer from part A and use D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. In fact, you could also use VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD. D equals VF squared minus VI squared all over 2D, or 2A. I think I've told you you're at a stage now where often you're going to find you have 2 or 3 approaches you can use. So I'll use this one. It's going to be 1.5 plus 8.6 all over 2 times 4.5. Mr. Dueck, shouldn't that whole thing be in brackets? I know on my calculator, in this particular situation, I can get away without putting brackets around the top of everything because I played around with my calculator. But if you did a big open bracket on the top and on the bottom, I'm also fine with that as well. It is 22.7, yes? And meters. I would probably underline the word stopping. They want me to find D. VI is 24. VF stopping is 0. I'm about to make a mistake. Can you tell me the mistake that I made? Oh, I tried to make the mistake and then my brain overruled me because it didn't like that. Why is A of 3.8 wrong? We're slowing down. It's negative. Boy, I didn't leave you guys much room to write here. I need to reformat this quiz and give you more room to write. VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD. D equals VF squared minus VI squared all over 2A. 0 squared minus 24 squared all over 2 times negative 3.8. Oh, you're done. Thank you. What typo did I make? I mean, I know the answer is not 0 because the car was clearly moving forwards. Oh, I hit plus, but it didn't show up on my calculator. The key didn't register. So this is one of the reasons I've told you to get good calculators that let you backspace and edit, because it sure is nice. Oh, should be a minus there, Mr. Dueck. It sure is nice if I can backspace and edit without having to retype. Is it 75.8? And that is distance, so it's meters. Have you heard me mention the phrase Sig Figs? Really? Have I said Sig Figs yet so far today? because I really don't care. I'm going to go to 2 or 3 sig figs for now. Technically, oh, this one would be the 3 sig figs, for what it's worth. This one should technically be the 2 sig figs. Whatever. How long does it take the car to stop? I guess that's time. I think I'm going to use VF equals VI plus AT. I'm going to use T equals VF minus VI over A. It's going to be 0 minus 24 all over negative 3.8. You get 6.32 seconds. Before you turn the page, I mean, you can, but how many of you are at the stage where you don't think you need to write this down, where you can go straight to that? If you are at that stage and you're always getting it right, if you start doing that on quizzes, I won't freak out. I'll just give you 1 whole mark. That'll include the half mark for finding the original equation. Now turn the page. This was your curveball. I don't think I'd done this one. Getting the A by itself from this equation. Maybe I have somewhere along the way. It wants me to find A. VI is 12. T is 6. D is 96. So I guess I'm going to use D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. I've had you get the A by itself with this equation, but I think every time VI was 0, and so it was a much nicer version, Ethan. But here, VI is not 0. What's going to drop down like a domino? And then what? I want to get the A by itself. You know what? Is this ugly and tricky? Let's go back to my old method. I'll put a dot there. That's what's going to stay where it is. So the D is going to drop down like a domino. I need to take care of the VIT. What's the VIT doing to the A? Minus VIT. What's the 0.5 T squared doing? Divided by 0.5 T squared. That equals A. And I'm not going to memorize that stupid thing. I'll derive it if I need to. 96 minus 12 times 6 divided by 0.5 times 6 squared. I might be able to do that in my head. It's going to be 96 take away 72. It's going to be 26 take away 24. 48 over 36. I can divide by 12. 4 over 3. 1.3 repeating? Yeah? Come on, you're a little impressed with that, aren't you? And that is meters per second squared. Jealous. V final. Oh, I want to use that acceleration and just go VF equals VI plus AT. And if you did that, you're fine. But I'm guessing most of you used this equation. And if I get the VF by itself, the D drops down like a domino. I would times by 2. I would divide by T. And then I would minus VI outside the fraction. That's VF. It's going to be 2 times 96 divided by 6 minus 12. I think I can do that in my head too, because if I divide by, yeah, that works out evenly. 96 divided by 6 is 16, isn't it, Mr. Dueck? Times 2, 32 minus 12. Is it 20? No? Yeah? Even? Right? Meters per second. I wrote here, assume the jet starts at rest. I might not give you that hint. I might expect you to reasonably, I'm making the assumption all of you have watched an airplane take off or been in an airplane, a jet that was taking off, and they do start out initially at 0 before they rev up. They want the maximum length of the runway, so D equals question mark. VI is 0 at rest. VF is 84. A is 3.75. VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD. D equals VF squared minus VI squared all over 2A. It's going to be 84 squared minus 0 squared all over 2 times 3.75. 84 squared minus 0 squared divided by bracket 2 times 3.75. Y'all get 941? 940.8. I'll go 941 meters. Last one. I had a few students ask me about this one. We did one just like this in the homework. What I would have said if I didn't know how to do this, I would have tucked the quiz away. I would have gone and looked at lesson 4, this example, and then see if I could put the example away and try and recreate this. What's this question asking me to find? VI. What's VF in any car accident? 0. Looks like they gave me a time of 1.6. It looks like they gave me a distance of 42.5. Now, I think in the question that we did in our notes, I actually told you the speed limit, and we asked, should this person be charged with speeding? Here, we're just asking you to find VI, because that's what you had to find in the other question. Anyways, I think I'm going to use D equals bracket VI plus VF times T all over 2. But conveniently, VF is 0. So what I really have is D equals VIT over 2. How would I get the VI by itself? What will I do with the T? Yeah, thank you, one person, for being with me here. What will I do with the 2? Times it. So I think VI is going to be 2 times D over T. It's going to be 2 times 42.5 divided by 1.6. Can I do that in my head? That's going to be 85 over 1.6. That one's a bit, yeah, well, maybe. All right, let's show off. Dueck. Can you pull this off? Dividing by 1.6. Do I have a shortcut for that? It's like dividing by 0.24. No, I'm going to use a calculator. Did you all get 53.1 to 53.1? 53? Just for giggles, if I multiply that by 3.6, yeah, this person probably was speeding 191 kilometers per hour, unless there's somewhere where that is the speed limit, but I don't think there's anywhere aside from a racetrack where that is the case. Can you give yourself a lovely score, please, out of 20?